Hey, what's up? This is Kelly here. I am super excited about tonight. We have a double header of the Twin Peaks Season 3 finale. And so I wanted to do a quick pre-game type of session to just talk about some of the things that I'm hoping for the most to see tonight and also some predictions that I have. Okay, so there were some actors that weren't on the original cast list, but I'm hoping that we have some surprises. I have a feeling that we're going to get some sort of connection with Harry Truman and Cooper. Maybe it's just a phone call. It's only a phone call, but it's the actual actor. I know he's been in Hawaii, living there, pretty much retired, not really acting anymore. This was too much of an endeavor for him to take part into the whole season, but maybe they were just able to sneak in some sort of little scene with him. That would bring me so much joy. I would also love if Annie made some sort of appearance. I think Heather Graham has been kind of like, not really acting like she has anything to do with this season, but she might just be keeping things under wraps because she has a surprise in store for us. So yeah, that's something that was very mysterious, unresolved. I would love to get some sort of, if not necessarily closure, then some sort of insight into that character, like what the hell happened there. Also, Josie, I know, I can't think of the actress's name off the top of my head, but she really wanted to take part in this season. So I hope that there's some sort of acknowledgement, interaction, hint of that character coming into play. I can see that being a possibility anyway. Someone else that we haven't really had much of a mention of was Leo, also not on the cast list, but it would be cool to kind of like have at least a cameo from him. Kind of doubtful, but this is just me being hopeful. Okay, something else that I would love to see is, so let's see, Leland Palmer, Ray Wise. I think, we got a glimpse of him earlier in the lodge scene toward the beginning of the season, but I want to see what happened with his connection to Laura Palmer in the context of the lodge or the lodge waiting room. Were they able to have some sort of resolution and have an understanding, a father-daughter connection that was a representation of their true selves rather than the evil that had inhabited their lives? I would love to know what happened there, if anything. I don't want there to be too many happy endings, obviously. First off, that's just kind of fake and contrived. It's not Twin Peaks, it's not great art, but I do hope to see at least a couple. Some sort of happy ending, knowing that Janie E and Sonny Jim are going to have a family unit and have the father, the husband in their life who they crave. And I want that to either be the real Agent Cooper, since he does care about them so deeply, or it seems like it's going in the direction of the seed sprouting, so to speak, into a new tulpa that would be the new Dougie, who hopefully is not going to be sleeping around and just the conniving type of character that he seemed to be before. Okay, I really want to get more insight into the girl with the frog, roach, moth thing that crawled into her mouth in episode 8. Who is she? What exactly happened? Was this hatching something? Was she becoming someone else? Was this Sarah Palmer? Was it somebody else we have potentially seen? Really curious there. I hope we get some tie-in back to that story. And in terms of who all these other people are, who is Linda? Who is Judy? Who is Nido? Who is Billy? I would love to at least see some connection as to who these people are without necessarily feeling like we have to tie everything up. Yeah, because I think if too much gets tied up, then we're not going to have a lot of hope that there will be another season. And while I don't necessarily have any expectations that there will be, it would obviously thrill me if there was. But I will take closure in the thought that this may be it, and there's the final dossier coming up. That's going to be exciting to read. So yeah, I don't necessarily, I'm not banking on there being another season, but I would like there to be a little shred of hope. Okay, so some predictions for tonight. I think we're going to get a lot more insight into what the hell is going on with the Roadhouse. Very strange, mystical stuff going on there, obviously. I am thinking that it is some sort of portal between two realities, possibly two different periods of time, or a portal to one or both of the lodges. I think there have been some hints that there's some sort of tie-in to either the Black Lodge or the White Lodge. I even wonder, this gas station was on its exterior a representation of the Black Lodge, or an entrance to it that was consistent, even though when you walk inside of it, things change. And I'm wondering, if there's some sort of parallel to that with the Roadhouse and the White Lodge. One thing that I'm probably not the first person to notice this, but it's really odd that we get the same crowd shots multiple times. The people are like listening to the music, they're swaying, they're smiling. So I think at least 3 or 4 times at the end, when we have the Roadhouse musical performance, we'll see like the exact same cut of, there's like that dude with the beard and like the ponytail and glasses, and he's always in a good mood, he's always vibing. And then there's like another guy with like shaggy hair who's like swaying. There's like this girl with a braid we've seen multiple times, and it's like they don't seem to change clothes. Maybe I seriously doubt that it was just like lazy editing and they just like throw in that scene multiple times because they didn't have enough footage. I would like to think that there's a reason that we're seeing like the exact same people in the exact same position multiple times when it pans into the crowd. So that was really strange to me. I had actually made a playlist because I was thinking this was probably a pattern. So on YouTube, I decided to put all the Roadhouse scenes together just based on what other people had posted of them, and the Roadhouse musical scenes anyway. Partly because I love the music this season. There's nothing that I haven't liked with those performances. So yeah, just being able to watch them back to back. I was like, doing some exercises last night while I was watching this playlist, and yeah, I saw these characters pop up multiple times and really got me thinking, are they somehow trapped in the Roadhouse? Are they trapped in this reality? Is there something dreamlike going on here? So very curious indeed, and I'll leave a link below to that playlist that I put together. It's actually on my other channel. Yeah, so some other things I noticed about the Roadhouse scenes now that I'm thinking more about it. So with Audrey, when she does her dance in episode 16, the crowd backs away. They're leaving room for her. They're swaying. It's a very dreamlike sequence, obviously. But I thought it was interesting that the way that they're swaying, it's not really to the music. It's not to the rhythm of this particular song. It's a lot slower. Like they're in some sort of trance, or they're being controlled by something otherworldly. It's almost like they're being swayed back and forth by the wind, and they're swaying in unison. And I thought that was really fascinating and beautiful, and so mysterious. I have no idea what's going on there. It did seem like when we had the scene with Ruby, and this is episode 15, she's crawling through the crowd, she screams. It doesn't seem like people are necessarily taking note of her. I have a hard time believing that people are just like, not concerned about her, not like, kneeling over saying like, hey, are you okay, sweetie? Like something, just some sort of acknowledgement. But yeah, it's almost like she's not in the same realm as the other people in the crowd. It's very strange. And of course, like the flashing there, it could have just been the stage lighting, but it could have been some sort of link to electricity. So I also noticed in James' performance, he was when he was doing his whole just you and I. He was let's see, there was not exact continuity between him and the crowd. So there was like the slow dancing that was happening in front of him, but also we were seeing it would like cut to a scene where people were not slow dancing, they were just swaying. So that also made me think maybe we were seeing two different realities that were experiencing the same musical performance. So maybe one was like the people slow dancing were real, so to speak, and then the swayers, dude, beard, glasses, ponytail, was like one of the trapped souls within the roadhouse. Okay, in terms of the tulpa and doppelganger mystery, it seems like tulpas and doppelgangers are not necessarily the same thing, although there are some clear overlaps. And so that's been really fascinating to me to think about the potential differences. So it seems like doppelgangers tend to refer more to your dark shadow self that Hawk was describing more in detail in the first run of Twin Peaks, where you can confront your darker self within the Black Lodge. And you know, the dark side of Cooper obviously is making a mess of every path he encounters. So and then tulpas, or the manufactured people, or maybe even manufactured doppelgangers would be a fair way of putting it. You know, they're not necessarily evil, though they seem to have an evil side to them potentially, maybe based on how they're manufactured, as we saw with Diane. You know, having the scene with her her black eyes and having the evil motive that was conflicting internally with maybe who she was, who she wanted to be. Tulpas seem to be potentially, well, they are more easily destroyed. You know, we saw Evil Cooper was basically shot to death and revived, and the tulpa is just, you know, if they are shot like Diane was, or you know what happened with Dougie toward the beginning of the season, they're just kind of like imported back into the lodge and made into this golden seed. So yeah, I think we'll likely get some more ideas about who may not be a tulpa or a doppelganger. I think with this big reveal of Diane, that was probably you know, it was a surprise to me, honestly. I didn't expect that coming. I don't think it's going to be like some sort of implication that everyone, or even like a mass of people, are somehow like doppelgangers or tulpas, but I do think there will be another reveal. So I'm really curious about Laura Palmer and how she's going to be presented. I can see a scenario where it's either her doppelganger or tulpa that we see, or that we're confused by. So there was that scene in the lodge where Cooper was saying, "Are you Laura Palmer?" And then she says, "I feel like I know her." That seems to imply that this is a tulpa speaking, or maybe we were seeing an actual tulpa of Laura Palmer in Fire Walk with Me, or maybe there was some sort of you know, switching between who she really was and who maybe her manufactured self. But who are we actually going to see in this finale? I think it's potentially going to be confusing. Let's see. Also Audrey, you know, she had that scene where she was like, "I don't feel like myself," and she seems to have a lot of confusion, conflicts going on about who she really is. And so in the same way that Diane seemed to convey a lot of confusion in the last episode, so seem to be some parallels there. So I wonder if which version of Audrey we have been seeing. I have a feeling that there will be some things revealed that we have maybe led to believe to be real that aren't necessarily real, ever since there was that scene with Gordon talking about you know, a dream within a dream, or who is the dreamer, who is the dream, with Monica Bellucci. That whole sequence, I have been questioning even more what could potentially be conveyed within the context of somebody's mind, or an alternate reality. And I was kind of nervous when we had that scene with Ed and Norma reuniting, and then you know, Nadine comes and you know, tells Ed, you're free, move on. I mean, I think that scene was believable, but then when he was at the Double R and he was closing his eyes, and then Norma came over to him and like touched his shoulder, and then they kissed and he proposed, and it just seemed it seemed a little too dreamlike and perfect and quick to be real. And so I think it would be absolutely cruel for us to realize that that was just like some sort of dream or figment of his imagination. But it did get me questioning what actually might not be the reality that we believe it to be. So kind of crazy stuff there. I don't have any other speculations about what has been dreamt up, but I can see there being some sort of tie-in there. I also totally can imagine that Jerry Horn will stumble upon some sort of like great act of accidental heroicism. So he's just kind of like, I feel like there's a purpose, there's a reason he's out running. He's probably delirious by now. I don't think he's acting whack and like turning his telescope around because he's high still, or actually like intoxicated or on any sort of hallucinogen. I think he's like, you know, he's probably really dehydrated. He was probably affected by something supernatural at some point. But yeah, I can see him like in this potential battle of good versus evil, just like having some sort of major role in that he just doesn't expect to have. I think that could be kind of cool. Okay, yeah, there's so much I could touch on, but that's the gist of what I have for now. So yeah, I think this channel will continue. I'm sure I'm going to cover additional theories, thoughts, reflections, final dossier stuff, probably some rewatch material in the future, and I also hope to touch on shows like Stranger Things and yeah, a multitude of ideas there. So anyway, thanks for watching, enjoy the show tonight, and we'll see you later. Bye.